So a few weeks ago in Chapter 9, you learned some uses of the ablative case. So ablative of means, ablative of manner, and ablative separation. So today we're going to learn a few more. So you want to get out both your ablative and accusative charts. If you remember them, this is on the screen is what they look like. When you learned them before, you learned the uses that did not include a preposition. Now that we're in Chapter 11, where we're starting to learn prepositions, we're going to add to the ones you already know, plus add a few more. So the first one we're going to review is ablative of manner. This first one here is what you should have already on your chart. And we learned ablative of manner when no preposition was needed. And it just takes the ablative case. So no preposition is needed if an adjective is included. And we translate as with. And it shows the manner or attitude with which something is accomplished. So we said when it includes an adjective, you do not need to use the preposition cum. You could, but you don't need to. So if I said with great joy, with much honor, with much bravery, all those things, because they have an adjective modifying bravery, you don't need a cum. You just put bravery, joy, zeal, eagerness. Those all go in the ablative case. But there's a second one here. This is the one you want to put into your chart today. So take some time and pause the video, put it in here. Sometimes you will see it with an adjective, with a preposition, and the preposition you'll see it is cum. So basically what it is, it'll be cum and it'll be followed by a noun in the ablative. And that whole thing together we call a prepositional phrase. Just like you've been already doing, right? It starts with a preposition and then it has a noun. And we mark those by putting parentheses around them to identify them. Okay, so it's translated again, just like the other ablative of manner. It's generally translated, it's with. There's generally no adjective. It does the same thing the other one does, because it is ablative of manner, just has a preposition. It describes the manner in which an action is done or accomplished. But if there's a preposition, the adjective often precedes the preposition. So normally when we have a preposition, normally when we have an adjective, the adjective comes after the noun. But in this case, if you notice, the cum is right in the middle. So literally, it's great with praise if we were going to translate that directly, but we translate it with great praise. So that's why you'll see a cum often in the middle of two words. All right, let's look at a couple of examples here. I've got cum gaudio laborat. He works with joy. Notice no adjective there. So it does start with cum. We'd put brackets around it. Prepositional phrase. So the preposition comes first, followed by a noun in the ablative. So here's our preposition with, and followed by a noun in the ablative. And the second one, uxor cum virtute dixit. The wife spoke with courage. Here again, prepositional phrase starts with the preposition, followed by a noun in the ablative. So pretty easy. Just have to understand that if there's no adjective, you'll see a preposition. If there is an adjective, you don't have to have a preposition. It would not be wrong to do it, but you'll see it without a preposition. All right. Ablative separation. This one again we had last week. So first one, make sure this is all in your chart. We have another use of ablative of separation. Still is an ablative of separation. Still makes the same meaning, right? It's used without a preposition when a person or thing is separated from another. It's used translated as from, away from, deprived of, etc. Remember the verbs that we had in Chapter 9 that meant to free, to lack, and to deprive. Still same ablative of separation, but there is a time when you might see it with a preposition followed by the ablative, and when it references a person. You can use it without. Most of the time you'll see a preposition when referencing a person. Still has the same meaning. It's a person separated from something else, right? And you translate it the same way, from, away from, deprived of. So uses the same verbs as before, to free, to lack, and deprive. The only difference is we're talking exclusively about a person and not about a thing. All right. So, Cicero ostes ab opido prohibuit. Cicero kept the enemy away from the town. Now, the prepositional phrase is away from the town. But what I wanted to point out was hostes is referring to a person, even though it's not in the prepositional phrase. It's something being separated. It doesn't get in the ablative because that's not its noun job. It's the accusative, right? It's the accusative, but inside the prepositional phrase, you have the preposition followed by the ablative, because the two things that are being separated is a person from the town. They're being separated, okay? So, with a preposition, because we're referencing a person, templum a malo rege servabitis. You will save the temple from the evil king. The prepositional phrase starts with a malo rege. So here we have the king, the person that happens to show up in the prepositional phrase, and this time the whole thing gets put in the ablative. It's the preposition followed by an ablative. The temple is being separated from the evil king. And notice that there is an adjective here. That doesn't make a difference. It doesn't make a difference with the prepositional use like it does with ablative of manner. They both get put in the ablative because the adjective is modifying king, so it has to match in gender, case, and number. All right, let's go to the next one. Oblative of accompaniment. Now, here's a new ablative of use, so make sure you stop and you put all of this down on your chart. It uses the preposition cum followed by a noun in the ablative. Again, it's still a prepositional phrase, but it always takes the ablative. It indicates the persons that someone is accompanying or the persons with whom they are completing an action. And it's also, just like some of the others, translated as with, because we've got that preposition cum, which is only and always translated with, okay? So, cum amicis nata verunt, they swam with friends. Who did they swim with? Who was that action? Who were they with? Who was being accompanied? Well, they're friends. So we have, again, the preposition first, followed by an ablative, and this time it's in the plural. So, prepositional phrase there. Rex cum regina saltabit. Got to get used to cum. You're going to see it a lot in Latin, so just know that it always means with. The king will dance with the queen. Who is the king completing an action with? With the queen. So, again, cum is the preposition, followed by the ablative with the queen. Okay. Pretty simple. Simple prepositional. These are all of these are called prepositional phrases. They start with a preposition and they end with a noun. So here's the question. There's lots of uses of with, right? We have ablative of manner, right? We have ablative of means that can also be with. We have ablative of accompaniment that can also be with. How do you know which one it is? So here's a hint. When translating from English to Latin, obviously in Latin you'll be able to figure it out a little bit easier, but if it's with a person or with an attitude or manner, use the preposition cum with the ablative. And if with is a thing used to accomplish something, we didn't go over this one today, but ablative of means, remember we can insert by means of. He fought with a sword. He fought by means of a sword. That makes it ablative of means. And then no preposition is needed. You never use a preposition for ablative of means. All right, let's move on to the next one. Ablative of place where. So another new ablative use is ablative of place where. And the ablative of place where describes where something or someone is located, or describes where some action is being done. Most commonly, you'll see it with in, sub, or pro. You can see it with other ones, but I want to make sure that you knew which prepositions are most common. And in English, they translate to in or on, under, or before. Remember, it can't be up to because it's ablative. It can't be into or onto in because it's ablative, okay? So let's take a look here. In via ambulabamus. So Prepositional phrase, we know has to be in or on. We were walking in the road. You could clearly also say on the road as well. But remember, in is our preposition, and it's always followed by the oblative. Where is something being done? In the road. That's where. It's telling us where something is happening. And navi sub aqua erat. The ship was underwater. Where was the ship? Underwater. That ship is located underwater. So we're going to start with the preposition sub, not up to, because that's accusative, but preposition sub followed by the oblative aqua. So pretty easy. Does take a preposition. Now, let's talk about oblative of place from which. And this is the last new use of your oblative case, is the oblative of place from which. It uses the preposition a, ob, de, e, or x plus a noun in the oblative. And it's translated as away from, down from, out of, plus any other words that go with those preposition. And it usually involves a verb of active motion from one place to another, or shows motion away from a place or object. Do you remember how we remember what the difference between ob and odd was? Remember, B is facing away from the A and D is facing toward the A. So you can think about motion away from because it uses ob, and that will help you. All right, so let's take a look at a couple translations. Okay. So usually involves a verb of active motion from one place to another and shows motion away from a place or object. All right. Graeci a Hispania ad Italiam navigaverunt. The Greeks sailed from Spain, again, prepositional phrase, to Italy. You do not include the to Italy. To Italy uses a different preposition. So this would be one prepositional phrase. We have the preposition here and in the oblative. This actually, ad Italiam, would be a different prepositional phrase, and we know that ad takes the accusative. But what we're talking about is this is the oblative of place from which. So I won't ask you probably past the midterm what kind of oblative it is, but you need to know now what kind of oblative it is, and once you've learned these, you'll just know it's an oblative. You can go back and look at your charts and go, oh yeah, that one takes a preposition, that one doesn't take a preposition. Okay, last one. Puer corribat de monte, right? Again, prepositional phrase starts with the de, and here we have it in Latin, down from the mountain. So again, it's the preposition followed by the oblative. Motion is away from something. What is he running away from? He's running away from the mountain, right? So down from the mountain. And here it's, and remember I said it usually shows motion toward an object. This is actually the toward the object. Running away, come from Spain to Italy. If he's running down from the mountain, he's running towards something, we just don't know what it is. So it doesn't always have to tell us what the toward is, but clearly he's moving toward, okay? So, all right. Last one. Now I want you to get out your accusative of chart. You'll notice that it doesn't have very many uses on here, and there aren't. And it'll take us all the way to Latin 3 to learn them all, but this is your first accusative. And it's called accusative of place to which. So notice the difference. Oblative of place from which, and when we're going to somewhere, do you see how we did it right here? To Italy. This is actually an example of accusative of place to which. Because remember I told you Italiam is in the accusative. That's the reason why. Okay. All right. Accusative of place to which. It uses the prepositions in, odd, and sub most commonly. Now notice they're really similar to some of the other ones. They're really similar to oblative of place where, but these are the accusative forms. Remember, in can mean one thing in oblative, and it can mean another thing in accusative. In oblative, it means in or on. Accusative means into or onto. And sub in oblative means under. Here in accusative, it'll mean up to. Okay. And it describes motion towards an object or a place. And most common prepositions are translated into, onto, to, toward, and up to, which I just told you up there. So let's take a look at a couple of these sentences. Nawi's in Ripam. Now we got the ship sailed into the riverbank. And because you see the word into and it's going towards someplace, this would be the preposition, and riverbank would follow by the accusative. So even though in you can't tell whether it's ablative or accusative, you look at the following and you see that it needs to be in the accusative case. And miles ad ignem ambulat. The soldier walks toward the fire. Again, where is he going toward? Toward the fire. So we have the D faces the A. Remember, toward. So we have the preposition here. And then we have followed by an accusative, the noun in the accusative. That's it. Break it down, little steps. You've got a reference for the rules, and I think you've got it from here.